Welcome to Mainland, your local regional television station, coming to you from the Nelson and Tasman region. In today's news, fireworks spark AOS call-out, driver distraction road safety focus, Tasman Mayor discusses local issues, and grey power concerned at TPPA secrecy. Police responded to reports of gunshots in the Tahuna shopping centre on Tuesday afternoon, prompting an AOS call-out. Police cordoned off the area between Bisley Avenue and Rui Street, and emergency personnel promptly descended on central Tahuna. Diversions were put in place, and motorists travelling in and out of Nelson were advised to use Waimea Road. Many worried residents turned on their radios and took to social media to try to ascertain what was happening, some concerned there may be a gunman or woman on the loose. Traffic around Rocks Road was slowed to a crawling pace as the situation unfolded. The incident was later confirmed as fireworks. Questions are now being asked around the stockpiling of fireworks outside of Guy Fawkes and the potential nuisance factor associated with this. Mainland's Chrissy Small went to Tahuna, where Tuesday's fireworks incident occurred, for their views on what was happening and whether there should be a limit on firework usage.
I'm in Tahuna Nui, where yesterday there was an armed offenders call out. I'm in front of the bakery where they're a bit too shy to come to the camera, but they've said that it was an extraordinary event yesterday when they were made to stay indoors and out the back. They had an armed offenders officer on the floor with his gun. They were very good to the people here. They felt safe and secure. So even though may have been fireworks and it may have all been a storm in a teacup, the people here felt safe and cared for. I'm down here at Tahuna Nui still. None of the retailers wish to come and talk to us, to the camera, but from everything that's been said, they definitely thought they heard gunshots, 2 firing gunshots, so it was pretty scary for them. This side of the road, they were okay. The other side, they were made to stay indoors and stay down. So the armed offenders squad was all around the place. They were doing their duty and they were keeping people safe. One shop assistant thought she saw 2 flashes of what looked like fireworks. So I guess the question is, should fireworks actually be made illegal?
Staying focused while behind the wheel is the main message this Road Safety Week. Associate Transport Minister Michael Woodhouse says the road is a complex environment and requires our full concentration. He says when we're out on the road, it's very easy to be distracted by a phone, music or even other people. Mr Woodhouse says it's important to remember that a moment's inattention can have serious consequences. According to Ministry of Transport statistics, distraction is a factor in around 10% of both fatal and serious injury crashes. He says the total social cost of crashes involving distraction was around $315 million in 2012. Mr Woodhouse says saving lives and preventing injuries on our roads is everyone's responsibility, and he says he's pleased to see that schools, businesses and community groups are involved in running events throughout Road Safety Week. Road Safety Week started on Monday and ends on the 26th of May. He says it's prompted by road safety charity Break New Zealand with the support of government agencies. The theme of the week for 2014 is Tune into Road Safety. The latest Ministry of Transport fact sheet on crashes involving distraction is available on its website. Diverted Attention 1 includes a range of activities where drivers' attention is directed away from safe driving towards competing events, objects or people inside or outside the vehicle. The crash analysis system covers activities such as talking with passengers, using cell phones, eating and drinking, reaching or searching for objects in the vehicle, adjusting vehicle controls, adjusting the radio and vehicle entertainment system and changing CDs, cassettes, dealing with pets or animals in the vehicle, being emotionally upset or angry, smoking, rubbernecking, looking at scenery or advertising, watching or looking at other traffic or people, searching or looking for location, intersection or specific place, being dazzled by sunstrike or headlights, and looking at other activity events outside of the vehicle. Research suggests it's difficult to identify whether a driver's attention has been diverted in an incident or crash. Mainland TV's Chrissy Small caught up with Tasman Mayor Richard Kempthorne this month to find out about submissions on TDC's annual plan, council expenditure and perceptions from some in Nelson that Tasman doesn't pay their way within the region.
Now, Richard, of course, the hearing of submissions, it's been happening for the last how long? Months or so?
Well, no, we've been receiving written submissions and we've been hearing them over the last fortnight.
Oh.
So we've been to Murchison, Motueka, Richmond and Tākaka, and I attended with most of the council yesterday in Tākaka, and that was really impressive. So they've got a very important project for them, which is the building of a joint recreational facility for their community. Huge amount of support, and they presented to us really well and covered a whole lot of different groups within their community. And that's one of the key issues that we've been facing this year. Again, trying to pull back and borrow less, but at the same time with projects that are really important for different areas of our district. So it's been really good to go around in different parts of the district and hear what key issues are for people, to have reiterated for us people's desire for council to borrow less, but also some key services that people are wanting us to deliver. So again, it all comes back to this balancing act of what we can deliver at what cost. Sure. One of the realities that we've got in Tasman is our rates are quite high, but it comes with having a diverse rural district, and we have services to provide in the various smaller settlements, and providing infrastructure and maintaining infrastructure is a huge issue. So if we look at other councils of a similar size, our rates tend to be as high or higher, but we are delivering on our core services and we're doing a good job at delivering it. It just really shows this big toing and froing that we have of delivering the core services and funding it affordably for ratepayers. Sure. Certainly over the last couple of years we've been hearing that the affordability is a key issue, and we're grappling with that as we go.
Right. Now, there's a lot of criticisms, you see it on comments on the Mail websites about people saying that Tasman should pay its fair share, and that Nelson's always kind of covering Tasman financially. Would you say that's a true statement?
No, I wouldn't actually. Tasman has, in the last few years, put a lot of money into Nelson. We've put, over the last probably 8 years or so, we've put $10 million into Saxton Field, and every year we're putting in operationally about $140,000 into Saxton Field. That's a lot of money for Tasman, and it's a highly valued facility, and even in Golden Bay people were saying it's a great facility and they respect it and think it's a really good thing to have. But there's been a significant amount of money going in. We put a significant amount of money into the Tasman Bays Heritage Trust, which is a joint trust. So quite a bit does go, but within Nelson you've got a greater concentration of a population in the city area. Tasman's issues are quite different. We've got the diverse rural area with our rivers, with our extensive road network that is not there in Nelson. So we've got some significant costs that Nelson don't have to cover. So we've got two different populations to service.
Right. So Richard, you've mentioned that both councils, they have quite a different structure really happening here. What's important to you with dealing with Nelson Council as a mayor?
I think the important thing is, and I've got a very good working relationship with Rachel, Mayor of Nelson, and I think the important thing is for both councils to realise the similarities and the differences of our communities that we are servicing, and it's really important to understand each other. It's very easy, I've come to realise over the years, it's very easy to come to conclusions about what is happening that actually aren't correct. It's very easy for people to start finger pointing, and we can all do it. It's just really important not to do it, and actually to think, before starting making judgments about what's happening either in Nelson or Tasman, to think, now what is happening, what are the key drivers for decisions either in Nelson or in Tasman, and to put those into focus and to be understanding of the drivers and the underlying needs of each community. and to be saying we've got a memorandum of understanding which says if we're going to do something together, we need to both benefit. And I've been thinking about this lately, and sometimes I'm thinking, even if it's not going to benefit us all that much, but it's going to benefit Nelson a lot, then it would be valuable to do. And so I would appreciate if that sort of sentiment was on the thinking in Nelson as well, so that if something's going to so we've really got to look at how can we benefit our overall community, and if one council and community is going to benefit a lot, that we try and help that to happen.
We reported on Monday about Nelson man Mark Jansen from the Stoke Fire Brigade, who arrived in Auckland last weekend to be part of the presentation to the Child Cancer Foundation of monies raised for the 2014 Firefighters Calendar. He then joined with other firefighters from around New Zealand to climb the Sky Tower stairs on Saturday to raise as much money as they could for leukaemia and blood cancer New Zealand. Mark spoke to Chrissy Small this week about his efforts and the event.
Mark Jansen, welcome home. You have completed the challenge of the Sky Tower Stair Challenge. Amazing result. You must be feeling quite blown away by the weekend's actions of everybody involved.
Yeah. Look, I'm very happy with the weekend and the way it all went. Everything went to plan. I went up there with a game plan and put it in place, and all that hard training paid off. You know, I've got a new PB now of 13 minutes 19 seconds, improvement of minute 42 on my old time. But more importantly, we raised a lot of money out of Nelson here, coming away with this trophy you can see down here as a number one individual fundraiser for New Zealand. So fantastic weekend, really.
Mark, honestly, you have excelled. I mean, seeing the footage on the news of the actual people arriving at the top of the tower, it looked really gruelling. How were you at the top?
One word could describe that, ruined, really. It is grueling, and I had spoke the night before with the guy who actually won the Masters again, Scotty McGraw from Melbourne, and we talked about a few techniques, and I tried double stepping. I double stepped for the first 10 flights and realised that I wasn't going to get up there double stepping, so I knocked it back to single steps. And about the 35th floor, I think, I was pretty much spent, and that's where the old top 2 inches of the head comes in. And by the time I got to the top, there was nothing left in the legs or the lungs. So it's that's what we go. That's what we go and do it for. Set a personal challenge, and but it's all for a good cause, and that's what it's all about. Yeah.
So you got to the top. Did you wear this helmet, this amazing helmet that looks a bit like a gladiator's helmet? Did you wear that all the way up the stairs?
Yeah, I did. It's part of the kit, and the Royal State, we have to use full firefighting kit, and so this is part of the kit. And as you can see, it's it's decorated with a lot of the people who have jumped on board the campaign and been a part of what we've done here from Nelson.
Have you counted up the sponsors that you've had?
No, I haven't actually counted them up, but I'll tell you what, there's a fair few that have rolled up on my on the computer, So the response from Nelson has just been overwhelming. I just cannot believe it. I cannot believe that we've actually achieved what we've achieved out of here. I had this. I thought maybe if we could raise $7,000 or $8,000, that would just be mind blowing. But to get to $13,280. And have the level of support from Nelson it's just inspiring, And I thought about that when I was on the start line. I thought, right, as they waved my transponder, here we go, Nelson, and the leukemia and blood cancer, here we go. We're into this, and we get into the top, and it doesn't matter what it takes. That's what we're doing. But I am going to go back. I want to set a new PB of I want to beat 12 minutes 30, and I want to take a team back. I want to take a Tasman team, so I'm going to have a break for a couple of months and go away on a holiday and and come back, and I've got some plans already in my head, and I'll talk to the necessary people, and we'll launch a Tasman firefighter stair climb team, is what I'm thinking, and we'll go up there and we'll see what we can do next year. Why we raised so much money, $867,000 I think we raised for the leukemia and blood cancer, and that's really that's the fighting spirit coming out, and the caring spirit that's within the fire service. It really epitomises what firefighters, New Zealand Fire Service is all about.
Mark Jansen, congratulations on an extraordinary weekend and an extraordinary effort, and you've made Nelson shine, so thank you again, and thanks for this interview.
Yeah, look, you're welcome, and just before we do go, I'd like to thank every single business and person in the Nelson region, and also the people from Greymouth and Murchison that jumped on board the stair climb campaign. This trophy that I was given, it's our trophy, it's not mine, and I just thank you all from the bottom of my heart, really, because Nelson did it, and it's a credit to each and every one of us, really, not just myself.
Well, you're a great inspiration, so may we all follow in your footsteps.
Thanks very much. We'll see what we can do next year.
Grey Power has this week expressed its concerns about the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement negotiations being held behind closed doors, and that very little information is available to the public. The chair of the Grey Power New Zealand Incorporated subcommittee to consider this issue, Miles Jackson, said that the only information that is accessible to those who elected the negotiators to office is from leaked documents. He says this makes one wonder what is being hidden. One possibility is that New Zealand could lose its sovereignty if the agreement is signed, and he says notwithstanding the fact that during World War II, from 1939 to 1945, many New Zealanders gave their health and in fact their lives to defend the right of democracy to be free from dictatorship. He says, therefore, I believe to sign an agreement such as the TPPA secretly, especially if it's based on a profit motive, negates the sacrifices made by those men and women. Miles Jackson says he's heard stories of possible profiteering where some United States pharmaceutical companies are advocating for longer copyright periods for their products. He says this would result in higher profits for them and their shareholders and delay the introduction of generic substitutes, which are less expensive to purchase, and he says this in turn would undermine Pharmac's effectiveness in providing cost-effective generic prescription drugs not only for the elderly but for all New Zealanders. Mr Jackson says that New Zealand's government recently increased the cost per prescription item from $3 payment to $5, and when he questioned some people about this, they said they couldn't afford to pick up their prescribed drugs. He says this is of real concern and leads us to ask if New Zealand signs a TPPA, which results in increased prescription charges, will the government be prepared to pick up the extra cost by way of a subsidy? Grey Power is calling on the government to be open and inform all New Zealanders about what the negotiations entail, particularly around the purchasing of drugs. And finally, nominations for the National Country Music Awards, run by Kiwi Pro AM country music organisations in Hamilton, have just been announced, with one local musician, Ali Cook, having been nominated for Best Country Female Vocalist, and in another Best Group category, the Sou'westers, including Ali Cook with Liam Ryan and Dean Hetherington. The awards will take place Saturday the 16th of August at Founders Theatre in Hamilton. The Kiwi Pro AM country music organisation has been set up to recognise the professional aspect of country music performers in New Zealand, making the distinction from the amateur status of the New Zealand Country Music Association, who work with the country music clubs around the country. After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.